Okay, let me just make sure that I am live wherever I need to be live and that everything is working. Guys, those who are watching, please let me know if you hear any issues, man. If there are any problems with the sound or anything like that, please let me know so that I can fix it. Welcome everybody to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is Mokwena. I am your host, and this here show is a show where we love South African football. We love African football. Sometimes we go overseas, but we do support our teams. And remember, there are watch-alongs if Chiefs, Pirates, Mamelodi Sundowns, Banyana Banyana or Bafana are in action, where you can jump in and join me, because this is a show where you can speak to me. And if you want to speak to me and add your voice to the show live right now, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on TikTok, head on over to TikTok. Bottom of your screen, there's a button that says multi-guest. You click on it, I let you in. We have a really dope conversation about whatever it is that we are going to be speaking about during that episode. Also, guys, please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. I drop content almost daily. I've got my podcast out right now on YouTube. You can check it out, my episode where we speak a little bit about Unkota moving on. We speak about superstar players at Soweto Giant teams. We speak about selling the women's game, a conversation we had last week. And then, of course, also we speak about the preseason, which is currently on right now. Kaizer Chiefs is meant to start their game just now, where they're going to be playing versus FC Zwolle. So we're going to be watching that too. Guys, I was on TV, I had the pleasure of going on to Supersport to speak about the PSL Awards nominees. They dropped the nominees. We've been waiting a very long time for that, so it was very cool to be part of that whole experience. But the nominees are on the table, and that is one of the topics we're going to be speaking about today. How do you guys feel about the people who have been nominated in all of these categories, and how do you feel about some of the criteria to pick these people? Then, of course, the big one we're going to start off with is Banyana Banyana, of course, still in action in the WAFCON last night. Banyana, you don't need calculators. How are you doing, Michelle? You don't need calculators. Last night, Banyana Banyana booked their ticket fully all the way into the knockout phases of the AFCON. So we're going to be speaking about that for 30 minutes. We're going to start off with that. Then we're going to go into the conversation about the nominees while we watch Kaizer Chiefs play. Yes, my team is playing now. We're going to be following along with that game as well as we go along. Now, okay, so last night, Banyana Banyana went out versus Mali. Banyana Banyana is a team that struggled a little bit in the game before that when they played versus Tanzania. And they came out in the game versus Mali and they were looking for blood. What was incredible about seeing Banyana Banyana in that game as our first topic, seeing Banyana Banyana in that game is that Banyana Banyana, we have questions about how Banyana Banyana is going to do the succession planning when the big players leave. And we always had that question, and we discussed it on the show quite a bit. But what I saw in that game was that in the second half, there was a different Banyana, man. Jermaine was off of the pitch. Linda was off of the pitch. Refilio Jane was off of the pitch. Abo Makhulula were on the pitch. Abo Dlamini were pushing up on the wing. Abo Salgado looked incredible. Hilda went into a central striking role. The way that they played off of each other was so incredible, and it showed a difference. The first half was individual brilliance, which has been what Banyana Banyana has been about for a very long time. The big players showing up in the big games. But then in the second half, in comes this team that's moving the ball easier, man, that's playing the ball up. They're trying to find their way in. They've got gaps that they're finding. The running of Salgado, Dlamini destroying people, like I said, on the left-hand side. You have Hilda, who is starting to become more comfortable playing the ball with the other players, doing what Hilda does best. She's a very good facilitator as well. And then the goals, guys. Oh, guys, the goals. Yo. Where else? Tell me, when last did you see a finish like what Ramalipet finished there for her goal, letting the ball come across her body, hitting a top corner? You had Refilio Jane, who was able to score a free kick, right? You had Donnelly, who everybody keeps calling Slay Queen, came in and actually showed that, guys, I'm actually a striker, scored her goal. And then, of course, Hilda Machaya with laser pinpoint finishing. I mean, I don't think there's a finisher in the game right now that is at the level of Uhilda Machaya. Guys, feel free to request so that we can have a conversation. But for now, before I show the game, guys, I was on TV. Wait. I need to take a photo of this. Okay, so guys, feel free to request. We're going to start off with Banyana Banyana, speak a little bit about their game, and then we're going to go into the PSL Award nominees afterwards, where we're going to speak about it. So 30 minutes is going to be for Banyana from 7 until past, and then we're going to take it from there and speak about the nominees that have been announced today and take it from there. So guys, feel free to request. Tell me a little bit about how you feel about Banyana Banyana. In the meantime, guys, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe wherever you find my content. It's really cool. Let me take a photo of myself, guys. Yeah, good TV. Before I watch my team. I don't know why it became that, but okay. Anyway. Sorry, I just want to put the Chiefs game on so that we can follow along while we're doing that. Guys, English shy. Kajan, what's happening? I'm not used to you guys being so shy. Yeah, so very interesting. And maybe that is where you see some of the tactical awareness and tactical tips and tricks that are being brought in by Coach Tina. Coach Tina is the UWC coach, known for playing a very modern game, a very open game, right? So seeing that reflected within this Banyana Banyana team is really interesting, because this is what we are doing. Where is the Chiefs game go? It's on, the Chiefs game is on YouTube. So the Chiefs panel, the Chiefs YouTube channel is where the game is being played. I'm going to let in a Chiefs fan right now, Ubongs, Nedbank Cup Champion 2025, and we can discuss a little bit about what we saw with Banyana before going into the conversation. About I'm nominees. Bongs, how are you, man? Welcome.
No, I'm fine, champ. I'm fine.
How team how man? Yeah, 4 minutes in. How are you feeling?
No, team on neck something if you break the
Oh,
because I
something
know
out.
it's going to be hard for them.
Oh, something out
Something
of
if you
office.
break it. Yeah, something out of office. It's still pre-season, Mus.
Bogs, let's talk about Banyana Banyana, who are in season right now. 4-0, Mali. How did you feel about that game?
No, I'm fine with the game because normally Khwana holds out of the group stages as usual.
Yeah.
But what worries me is the fact that now, if we can Senegal, problem you're gonna go between Zambia and Nigeria. And you
Yeah.
know we tend to struggle against Nigeria. Since let's struggle against Bona during the Olympic qualifiers.
Yeah. So do you think that our game versus Nigeria, if we go to Nigeria, do you think that it's going to be more mental? Because Nigeria,
For Nigeria, total mentality, they did manage to give us a 1-0 win, which made them qualify for the Olympics. For Rona, our motivation would be the fact that the last AFCON, we managed to get a 2-1 win. But this time, problem is there's no Tembi Khatlana to try and help Batwatana Lebosio Posingwe.
So then tell me about the team, because we're speaking about not having Abotembi Khatlana. In the second half, we played with a team pretty much that didn't have the stars. How do you feel Banyana Banyana performed in that second half, and do you think that might be the future of Banyana?
Second half, they did perform a lot better. Bokarabo Dlamini could show about dribble. Bo Selgado showed they can cross the ball into the box where it's always needed. Where I always say Chiefs should do the same, but they are not doing the same thing.
Hey, Bongs, Chiefs, we still out of office. Bongs, I want to ask you about Hilda. Hilda was a little bit slow in the first half. Second half, Kimo Atsukhante. Do you think that some of these players, man, they're running out of gas, if I can put it that way?
Yeah, I would agree with you, Renaud, they're running out of gas because now age is catching up with them. So it's time we reborn the others, what can they do into the team? Because now re hloka new blood since batho ba hola jwanong, they are growing up and now some of them are hanging up their boots. Bo Jermaine Seposing was saying after this it's their last AFCON.
Yeah. Do you trust Desiree?
Yeah, I still have faith in Desiree. As long as I get orders from top management, the man is suffer.
Okay, here's a question, Bongs. Let's say we want to get rid of Coach Des. Under the current structure, Safa, do you think that we could do better?
I don't think we can do better under structure side, because SAFA itself is not really serious about getting South Africa to become a powerhouse in the world.
Okay, Bongs, no. Gabon or Rabatu, they're still shy. How are you feeling 8 minutes into your game, Kaizer Chiefs versus Zwolle?
No, I'll have to go and check it right now on YouTube.
Okay, no, guys, if you want to watch Kaizer Chiefs, the game is live on YouTube. If you want to watch me on Supersport, I am live right now. But then if you want to watch me over here, I'm also here where you can speak to me right now. Okay, so, guys, I think Banyana Banyana, for me, came into this tournament. Sometimes you need that little bit of a shock, that little bit of a draw, so that it can put you back into the right frame of mind. And I think that Tanzania game served as that for them. There wasn't really a risk because they'd already qualified by the time the game had kicked off, because like it's 3 teams that qualify. So they were already good. But to see them really take on Mali is a very good side, because that's what you need, some of that momentum from the tournament. Now going into the second round and going into the knockouts, I'm looking forward to see if Banyana Banyana can sustain what they're doing now, because one of the things is that there's that high ball. Whenever they play, there's a high ball that is played into the box all the time. Whether it's Kalen Swart, whether it's Andile Dlamini, it becomes a tough time for them to deal with those high balls, right? But what is interesting about this game is that Coach Des decided to bring in, it's the same tactic she kind of used in the first game, where yes, Ramalepe is playing as a winger, but we know that she's a defensive-minded player, and that means that you can pull into a back five and put pressure onto whoever's coming onto the wing. So Mali, who had 2 really tall strikers in Traore, and I'm forgetting the other name, but Traore and the other lady, they tried to play those balls, or tried to find those balls, or find those spaces, and Banyana Banyana closed them down very well. Bongs, do you think that this is how Banyana Banyana finishes? This is how Banyana Banyana stops this? Ke khale re complaina ka di cross. Love to you, G. Hey Nazi, thank you so much, man. Oh, Bongs. Hey, Bongs Roberts. Guys, anybody else, any takers? I'm gonna do 3, then we're gonna move on, because Kalibona le shy man about this Banyana Banyana. But we're gonna keep speaking about it. Bongs, I wanted to ask you, the way that you stop the crosses on the wing, do you think that that's how Banyana Banyana should play from now on, especially knowing that they're very weak when it comes to crosses?
They should start practicing crosses first before they try and play a crossing game, because Banyana Banyana is not the type of crossing game. Ke direct footballer ke bona ba rata ho e bapala.
Defend. They were closing off those wings and stopping the crosses. Cross.
Because they need to learn to stop the crosses.
Okay, Boggs. Okay, guys. If there's no more takers, we're gonna move on to the PSL awards. The nominees were announced. Finally, we had been waiting a very long time to see who would be coming up and who would be given a chance. We're gonna go through each of them, but what I'm gonna ask is that when you come in, I'm gonna ask you guys to come in one by one. But then when you come in, please can you just, I'm going to let you speak about the award that you want to speak about, but then I'm also going to ask you about some of the other awards that are available. This is the review portion of the nominees that were announced today, guys. I was part of the announcement, because Supersport, just by the way. Bongs, since you're here, I want to speak to you first. Bongs, tell me about these nominees. How do you feel about them?
Well, I'm okay with how they nominated, because some of the players, especially Barona, didn't perform very well last season. Mostly Sundowns when it came to the league, Pirates mostly performed very well.
Yeah. Now I want to ask you. So then, which one are you looking at? Which one is the award that you are focused on, and who do you think is going to win that award?
I'm still trying to see who's the player of the season.
Yeah.
I think this season was a player based on just one assist and then they say no, ke player of the season like never yentse ka mokwena last time.
So then, okay, player of the season has come down to Lucas Ribeiro, Keleso Magalo, and Relebohile Mfokeng. How do you feel about who's going to win that one? Let me just ask you straight. Who's going to win that one?
If Nikitla biased, I would say Relebohile Mfokeng, but to be honest, Ribeiro performed very well this season.
Mara Magalo, the most assists, the most goal involvements in the league. Well, not the most, but
I wouldn't say Magalo that much because Ribeiro for now opamisele by scoring a few important goals for Mamelodi Sundowns.
oh, Mara Magalo assisted some important goals for Skukune.
But putting it that way, then Magalo could be in the debate as well. But for me, I was more focused on Sundowns and Ribeiro because I thought Sundowns was going to make a mistake coming to the league. So my focus was always on Sundowns, and it will always be on Sundowns because I feel like Sundowns is a threat. So now they are performing better. To prove me wrong or not, they won't even slip up.
Eroko Obote, then a random category. Betway Premiership midfield of the season. Marcelo Allende, Makehleni Makaula, and Tebogo Mokwena. Who wins it for you there?
There, I'd be honest for you, I'd give it to Makaula.
Why Makaula?
I believe he's a hard worker and he showed it last season.
Okay. Let me bring in Mtakababa Velile.
Hey, mntakababa kunjani?
Man, ngimnandi man.
Hey, yeah, nathi siyaphila man. Siyaphila so. Sibonge idlozi la kaMkwena. Siyakubona namhlanje sikubona le bomabona kude le hey waphathi mama. Yabona abanihlanga ama makeup lapha yana nje ukuthi hayi ubafo at least hayi indlela seziyakhanya ke at least ziyavuleka kancane kancane.
Hey, bese ngimangele man. Mina ngijwayele ivaseline, ngithi vaseline ngithi live. Manje mase bakuphaphatha lapha. Lo ngiyabonga bro.
Imisebenzi yakho mntakababa ngithi wayiqala nje uyiqala la emini nabo Sinje nabo Mhlave emini la ngalishisa kabha ubhizi ukreuza la umemeza wedwa ni7 so so hayi siyabona okuningi imisebenzi yabonakala kanti hayi okuningi sekusezandleni zakho ke ukuthi hayi ukusukela lana ke sowuzoyibamba kanjani kuya phambili into enhle ukuthi ushadile futhi ngoba naloko siyazi kuyanceda ngoba ngeke utholakala ubhizi uhudulana amakhula bag le kaZiba izintathu ekseni uyakwazi kaZiba ngithi
Angifuna ukuzingena.
uyakwazi kodwa ngithi
Velile Why ufuna ukufaka entweni?
uyakwazi
Ngiyakwazi.
Okay, hayi kulaba ama 2000 athi kuseBahamas kwaziba
Yeah, Pazuzu. Ziba Square Garden. Siyazi iziba Square Garden thina. Ngiyazi mara why keep indaba zami zonke mara. Mara Velile. Hayi nawe, uqale kahle manje ungikhiphela indaba.
Waqeda ukuthi usuke le uze kapha ePitori uyabona so i-UP alumni wabona plus ukuthi hayi nokubukeka kukhona i-TV yakuthanda isikrini you've got the look yeah kulungile
ikhona ichisanyama khona la Velile masingene kuma nominees. What do you think of the PSL awards? What do you think of the nominees? Which one are you looking at?
I'm not looking at anything of any award.
Yeah.
I know sometimes abanye bazothi hey kwasho kwacima. No, I'm not, because personally for me I think we have reduced this award into a mediocre, especially since the criteria that was implemented when the PSL Footballer of the Season or PSL Youngest Footballer of the Season was changed into these mini categories, like your MTN Players of the Season, a Nedbank player of the season, or Carling Black Label player of the season, and the Betway Premiership. The minute that was done, that's where these things just lost the meaning and the value of it, according to me. Because it doesn't make any sense. Because now, players cannot be equal, like in all 100% games that they've played. You can find Lucas Ribeiro, who is Sundowns didn't win the Black Label Cup, but he played the in final. Sundowns didn't win in Nedbank Cup, but he played up until the semi-final. Sundowns didn't win EMTN 8, but he played up until semi-final against Stellenbosch. And then if you look at Google PSL, you'll find that he performed on 80 or 90% of the game that he played. And then now we will want to reduce it into say, no, but he performed on this, he performed this. But if you look at holistically, a season as a whole, he performed in all the games. Regardless of whether he has won that cup or he didn't won that cup, he performed it. It's unfortunate good we have reduced our football and the nomination and awards into stats. Look, for example, there was a player called not Jekeslebi, man. He played for us, Litwab. He was the leading goal scorer. You know that season
when they got relegated. When they got relegated. I remember. I remember. It's in CAF Champions. No, I don't remember. I read it somewhere.
And he even went with that team. There is no one who wanted him, but he was a lead goal scorer. So, so not because he's a leading goal scorer, as if like he was the best among them. No, he wasn't. It just happened. He converted all those chances. Not yena kuphela. Remember, there was a team called the African Wanderers, Abaqulus. It had 3 leading goal scorers in that season. Do you remember?
I don't remember fully because yeah.
That was Usiyabonga Nomvete, Upumla Nimkhize, and Sbuso Rizu. They were leading goal scorers, but the team get relegated. But now, if you're going to bring it back 2 days, we're going to say, hey, those guys they've performed. They scored 11 goals or 14. We only look at the goals that they've got, regardless of how they scored them. So,
okay, Mara Buza then.
That thing.
Buza. I hear you saying Chekiri scored the 14 goals because he converted. How much does popularity of the teams play into this? Because you've got a situation in the goalkeeper of the season where Uronwen udlale 16 games. Betway goalkeeper of the season. Uronwen udlale 16 games. Fine, our clean sheet, he's got all that stuff, but then Kono Chipezetse, Obama 25, I think it was. Kona Uchaine by 26. But then surely, Kono Munyu keeper maybe La Paguliki that we're not watching. But because we are seeing Uronwen, and only because Chipezeze Uhambile wa winning league that we're seeing these players, how much does that play into this? And do you think we're fair?
Kwathula manje.
Yeah, Tulile.
That's a good example lo oyivezile.
Yeah.
On those ones. Kwahamba manje angazi uba kusasebenza yini. Ukhona?
Mina ngisasekhona manje angazi ukuthi. Guys, can you still hear me?
Oh, okay. Yeah. That example loqeda ukuyenza is the good one, because there itshengisa yona futhi that thing ukuthi now we are going to look at somebody's popularity or which team is he playing against them, and then we were gonna try and come and justify like the reason that we had last season when we have to debate about the goalkeeper of the season, whereby some of the guys and the supporters will come and say, no, Ronen was initiating players from the back, initiating. No, the nominee is the goalkeeper of the season. In this season, there's no doubt Uchipeze is the best goalkeeper of the season because he made best saves one on one, while the defense of that Magezi was just leaking. Pound for pound, Uchipeze made a lot of saves as compared to China and Roman combined. It's just Yogutabandu they will want to try and say no. Nyambona no Prasiputi is the most consistent in what most consistent in saving balls that are kicked to him directly. Not just because a goalkeeper has got the best defense, if we have to be fair. Asingafavini la. If you're saying we are looking for a goalkeeper, we are looking for a goalkeeper, the best goalkeeper, not the best starting of play, best footballing goalkeeper. No, we are looking for a goalkeeper. And Uchipes has made those brilliant save when he was attacked 1-on-1. So
Yeah.
asingabini.
No, when we chatela good, this is what I ask. Whenever we speak about these things, I know Ronwen does these things because Siambugeli Ronwen. But are we watching about Chipezetse when they're playing random games versus Boamazulu? Are we watching about Sage Stevens? Are we watching those guys in order for us to say for sure, Guti, I lawyer, Agagwazu Mashalet defense, Lonia Mashela, Lona starting from the back? I don't know goalkeeper Amazulu what he does on a daily basis because Asbabugel. So isn't that please leave him alone. Mara, ubambis nyamanyana, and then something happened. Mara, but you get what I mean, Guti. We don't watch them enough, us as people, to say that no, Ronwen is the most consistent. We know Ronwen. Mara Spabugel Lababanye. For example, when you look at the stats, Makesi has faced the most shots in the league. I think Chipezeze has made the most saves in the league. Uchipezeze, that team went from the bottom of the log up to number 10. That team won a calling knockout, for example. Why Lezo Itori don't come in? Like today we had a conversation about it, go Supersport, and then they were like, somebody was like, no, he was saving penalties, go AFCON. And I'm like, no, Mara, his story Lezo. Why don't you do the same stories for Abu Chipezeze?
Yeah, no, that's what as I was saying when I put Uguti, the problem we have turned this football into a debating thing whereby now we introduce is this ngazaz when it comes to defending, and especially with the support your team is in. Now we watch football and we got into these awards because of support a band, but we don't look at holistically if football on its own. And we try so much to explain and come with these new trends and tactics of saying playing from the back, keeper, sweeper, inverting right back, inventing what, hey, kahleni, kune-4 ne-5, we know what's the same msebenzi walo. I-6 yazi umsebenzi wayo yini. But if you're going to turn us to know the distributor, no, it says his name lamagama esilungu lawo, maning too much. Again, you see face as a goalkeeper umsebenzi wakhe yini. Because if we want to be honest, uShipezeze imagezi bekumele ngabe ithola abo 5 or 6 each and every match, but uShipezeze has come through for that team in terms of goalkeeping. Angakunaka okuningi engakwazi. Uyangithola engakungiba ngazi goalkeeper umsebenzi wakhe yini. And that's his primary responsibility. So we have reduced into football into into ezinjengalezo ukuthi hayi kunani and the stats and saying how many umuntu uyachaza ukuthi no uRibeiro is the best player, or Mufukeng uyamlandela is the best player. How many assists did he have, or how many goals did he score? How many chances did Umakopa miss? Mufukeng ampasi 2 balls. If those chances are 10, Umakopa miss still how many assists did Mufukeng make, or how many assists did Ribeiro make? No. Let's just be as Jack Pelguti. Look at the foot. That's why the football has to be looked at the holistically. Wonke tournament. Like whether the cups or none singabheki phela singawahlukanisi beyizoba kahle bemnandi nje futhi this thing going to be simple. Hey, sekuvela amalokhu njani manje sasekhona, or am I talking alone now? OT no akuhluphi uyabona manje masekwenzeka nje kusho khona ukuthi kuzomela usuke lapha edining room ubuye e-studio usuke lapha edining room because mase so podcastela edining room kanje kuyiko kuvela into ezinje sekuvela lama-line lawa ngathi i-TV yakudala uyabona le sisabukela abo TV1 nabo TV2 and then nabo lokhu njani i-TV isaqala yakhumbula i-TV isaqala bothola sometimes ebusuku ngama-Saturday kudlala ama-blue movie lapha yakhomola ngemgqibelo abo Emmanuel so So bekukubi lezo ikati lezo of i-TV. So and futhi le gang yakudala njengabantu bakudala nina othile kwaThem, and bekunzima, and that time i-TV beyisahlala phezu kwefridge. Uthi uma uyolala nje usoyolala kumele ulungisele uyolala, intamo bewuqeda seyibuhlungu bosi. I-TV akeni mayihlala phezu kwefridge, nama-fridge lama-one door lawa aphezulu, uthola i-TV ihlala phezu kwefridge neminyango le. So kumele nihlale phansi, intamo ibuhlungu ebantwini.
Hayi velile. Hayi mara. When uyakhohlwa ukuthi wena you are around i-TV icima ngo-12 ithi ibuye ngo-6 azongitshela ngazinye izinto. So thank you velile guys.
Yayikhumbula le mawushintsha i-channel bekuza umakhelwane because beyingathi iyawind ethi qwa
uyachampisa manje, uyachampisa, but it's fine for time. Let me bring it easy. Thank you. Mara uvelile yazi, he always reminds us how old he is. Izzy, welcome to the show. How are you? How Izzy? Okay, we'll see if you can't get Izzy back on. Guys, request time. Okay, look, I'm asking these questions, and I'm gonna start off with the goalkeeper award. We had a similar chat last season, because last season the keeper that had made the most saves, I believe, was Ahly from Chipa. And you ask fundamentally, what is the award about? And how many of these things are down to the stories that we tell about the players? So we tell the story about Ronwen Williams being a sweeper keeper. He organizes the defense. Look at how he's an extra man. But at the same token, the only other keepers we've watched is Bruce Buvuma, is Sipho Chaine. But we haven't seen the other guys that have been doing well. And when you look at the stats show you that Ronwen, for example, with saves, he's not even a top 5. And that's down to a defense, that's down to a lot of different things. But then at what point do we say, you know what, guys, you did your job. You're a keeper, you saved what was meant to be saved. And then Ronwen, you know what, you're a good ball player, but in terms of keeping, you didn't do that much keeping, right? He only played the 16 games, Ronwen Williams, to be fair to the others, where Uchipazedze with Chaine have 9 and 10 goals, 10 more games respectively. Guys, Shimbo, before I let Tyler in, here's my thing. I don't like clean sheets as a stat, because clean sheets negates what your defense is. Clean sheets negates how good your team is. So sometimes you can have a very bad keeper who just doesn't face any shots, or you can have a very good keeper who's just hit so many times that something has to go in. And that depends so much more on the different people that are around you. So clean sheets, I don't like it, because who do you give it to? Do you give it to the keeper? Do you give it to the defense? Do they share it? Should it count the half? Should it count this? Should it count that? But anyway, let me talk to Tyler. Tyler, welcome to the show. How are you?
Sharp, Mr. Uti.
How are you, my brother? Uti ngalendaba man.
My PSL awards.
Ngizuvelile sekathi Emmanuel, hey. You know, Tyler, how do you feel about the awards in general? And then khona what we pegile yourself.
Mina engayibonanga grand le yama goalkeeper, but I would have loved if cela ungibizela ama nominees le yama goalkeeper.
Sipho Chaine, Elvis Chipazeze, Ronwen Williams.
Okay, honestly speaking, I'm gonna start ngale Black Label, because there was a Black Label player of the tournament. That one is undeniable. Uchipazeze. That one is undeniable. There's no, because if it's ngaqala phansi check like nama isibukele nento then ne games like from the first game Elvis Chipazeze was the key man of the match here. His second game maybe man of the match. If I'm not mistaken,
he won 4
throughout.
Yeah,
4 man of the matches awards. So that one, abantu bayadlibala ukuthi like man of the match awards, also a number of accumulated man of the matches going out throughout the tournament or season also like contribute towards it, I think, award yakho. So the 1 year a black label, it's non-negotiable. That one belongs to Elvis Chipezes. And the reason, if you still remember the final game, Mamelodi Sundowns versus in Magesi, you still remember all those saves that he did to keep it, I think, in Magesi in the game. So that one belongs to Chipezes. We all know as South Africa, that one belongs to Chipezes. Then for EPSL.
But then can I ask you, Tyler? Can I ask you? You look at Chipezedze, you could argue that Uchipezedze, you only know him because he won the Carling knockout. So if he doesn't win the Carling knockout and he still has those performances, let's say Likin, do you still give it to him, or is it still now becoming what we see? It's only the people above Velai.
Not just only black label, but let's translate the performance to a Likin. Chipezedze, still remember, Magesi was trailing. Everyone was saying Magesi are relegated to Magesi.
Yeah.
But look at Magesi where they are right now, today. And then all due to remember the number of saves that he kept on doing, like the clean sheets, like even his form translated from a trophy tournament black label to E-League. So that one, Chipezedze has he has a stake good tournament corner. But then again, we have to also contribute. It's a tricky one, because most of the time they always say with a player that has won in E-League has a higher chance because he has a medal to prove it accolades zakhe. But Chipezedze, honestly, if it was for me in terms of like individual performance, he deserves the goalkeeper of the season. As much as the Orlando Pirates fan, the mere fact of like usave Magesi from being relegated, that's enough. That's enough for them also, because they could be playing in Vela. They also survived the relegation is there. So that's for me. Uchipezedze could be goalkeeper of the tournament, and then a player of the season for me now. This thing a player of the season for me, it's quite dicey. It's a quite tricky player of the season, because are we going to forget our defenders? Defenders also not going to be nominated as part of the player of the season. Which positions are we looking at? Strikers, are we not going to look at strikers as because strikers' job is to put the ball behind the net. And then Ikram Renas, he also has a claim in that player of the season. So the one of the player of the season, are we only looking at the attacking players? Are we forgetting the defending players? Are we also forgetting the goalkeepers with good player of the season? But it's a topic for another day. But if you want to get deep into it, so what should other players in other positions need to do in order to win that out? Because, and then that's why we also have a defender of the season. Upodlela udlalile, honestly. He's been the one. If Sesane was not injured, he would have been the one getting award. But Upodlela has been consistent throughout the season. And then the final award, the young most promising young player. And then I also understand then that would like also as a midfielder, when you create the chances and the strikers swami samadi ding ama opportunities, those could have been like assists.
Okay.
So your potency of your striker, does it also affect your individual performance as in midfielder? So those are the things that we also need to sit down and like look at them like as a criteria. And that's when I come in and say gambling has actually ruined Ebola, because currently we only look at the stats. Because since we are used to gambling, we look at the stats of what would that team you are going to bet on the day, which is a provider line. But that's my 2 cents.
For time, I'm going to jump in, but I want to ask the comments. Guys, in the comments, I want to ask you guys. Hey, guys, please mute your eye. I want to ask you guys, is this not just a popularity thing? And when I speak about popularity, I mean, Ronwen Williams gets selected last season as player of the season or nominated because of, you could argue, because of some of the things that were happening with Bafana. You could argue because he plays for Sundowns, and that maybe it's easier for a player that plays for Sundowns, Chiefs and Pirates if you have a good season to make it feel like it's great. But then if you are an Elvis Chipezedze, we only think about him because they won the Carling knockout. And because they won the Carling knockout, that now shines a light onto him, and now we look at him. But if it wasn't for that, what happens to the other players in the league that have incredible seasons and nobody cares? Are we looking out for those, but are we just making it a popularity contest? I'm going to leave that to the comments. Let me bring in Usipo. Sipo, welcome to the show.
Good evening, OT.
How are you, my brother? Man, kimnate, man.
Kimnati, Lin. Sure, man.
Okay. How do you feel about the awards in general, and which one do you want to focus on?
The Naki Kenago, the goalkeeper of the season. That's very interesting for me.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper of the season. I think a goalkeeper of the season, State Sabona, it's clear. It's that criterion, it's easier than to compare the player of the season or footballer of the season.
What's the criteria for you?
For me, clean sheets that you've made, like your percentage in terms of your shots that you've faced versus your shots that you've saved. That is, and then your goals that you've conceded as well also matters for me for goalkeepers.
Okay.
So based on that, for me, Ronwen Williams takes the award because he has conceded only 6 goals. Out of 16 games or 17 games that he has played, only six. That means he has done well. And then the problem for me, for a goalkeeper that concedes more than your games that you've played, it raises a red flag for me. I wouldn't sign a goalkeeper like that. That would concede more goals than the games that he plays.
Okay.
So Uchipezeze falls out of the picture for me with PSL. He has played well. I give him for Carling Cup. He has done exceptionally well for Carling Cup. He deserves to be the player of the tournament there.
But can I ask a question though, Prasip?
Sure.
Are we gonna completely disregard the teams, like the teams they play for, the type of players they have, the type of history they have, the type of reaction that teams have when playing that team, and I know it would be unfair to say that because Sundowns is so good, Ronwen doesn't get tested, therefore we should write him out. But then on the same token, you should look at it and say, because Uchipezeze's defense was maybe that leaky, he might have conceded more, but then if you look at the saves, he's got 5-6 times more saves than Ronwen, for example. So are we knocking out the effect of your team on an individual award, especially when you look at double clean sheets and things like that? Sundowns is vastly different to my case.
Okay, I hear you, but still, this is the Premier League. In Premier League, we are competing for the title. So I would argue that defensive Mamelodi Sundowns this season was shaky as well, but we've considered less because of the leadership at the back. Our qualities got Ronwen Williams. He gives us more than any other goalkeeper in the PSL in terms of organizing the defense. He's able to read the play, so he's able to avoid or limit the chances that the opposition teams get. So I would say Amarols Garon Williams gives him advantage more than any other goalkeeper with PSL. He's able to read games. He's the most consistent goalkeeper. You can even see in other competitions as well. The CAF Champions League, I'm not going to include it here, but he's one of the goalkeepers. Abanama clean sheets amaningi. You can go now with Club World Cup. He's also in the top 10 as well. I'm a goalkeeper that is considered less goals. So he even if you can even see Sundowns, Marenge, Corona and Williams, that it's lacking something.
But they win. But they still win.
They win, yes, but you would see that they are struggling if he's not around. As we saw in the beginning of the season, Sundowns was not the Mamelodi Sundowns that we know. People were even saying they are not afraid of him, Mamelodi Sundowns, because of how we started. He was injured.
But you did it. You started that way last season. Chameleon. What is Rulani doing? He's ruining the football.
No. But this season, most people were saying Sundowns is not feared. We don't fear Mamelodi Sundowns anymore.
So then, if you give Ronwen the credit for that, do you not give Chipezedze the credit for Makesi going on an unbeaten streak, a winning streak that's second only to Sundowns? At some point, they won 5 games in a row. Coming from a point where they were at the bottom of the league, where they were struggling very badly, to the point where they could turn it around and go on a streak similar to that. Why aren't we giving Chipezedze the credit for that and his leadership and his saving and all of that stuff? For example, because it's a similar situation. They started very badly. They went on to win the Carling knockout. ODG came in. They went on that winning streak. He was key to keeping a lot of the games, those winning games and a lot of the games close, if not wins. Why are we not giving him the credit for that? Similar to maybe a Sage Stevens or a Sipo Chaine.
Or Kit. I
Kit.
believe Kit has done better than Chipezedze for me in the PSL. And where is the Cape Town City? Is relegated.
Yeah.
But yes, if I'm looking at the stats based on Kit and Chipezedze, I think they've got the same number of clean sheets. He is considered.
Chipezedze has got more shots, has got more saves by far.
Okay, yeah, we can give him that, but we are looking at the same level, the profile of teams. They are low teams, the bottom teams, I can say.
Yeah.
But comparing them, Kit has done better because he is considered less than Chipezedze in the league.
Okay. No, for time I'm going to jump in. Let me bring in Izzy. Izzy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey King, I'm good, and yourself?
I'm good, my brother. I'm good. Welcome. How do you sit? Where do you sit on this conversation about the awards in general? Which one do you want to focus on?
Man, thanks for the opportunity, and it's quite interesting that we get a chance to discuss things like this, because it seems like the awards themselves, they no longer making noise like they used to make noise.
Yeah.
It's good to have platforms like this where such things can be discussed. So, yeah, regarding the issue of popularity, that does affect in terms of the nominees that we tend to have at most. You'll see that obviously the top 3 will have few members there and there because of the issue of the popularity, and most of the time, yes, is because they are winning. You guys touched a lot regarding the issue of the nominees of the goalkeepers. Man, it's true that Ronan Williams deserves it, because if I'm facing 2 shots and you are facing 10 shots, and you make 7 saves and I make 1 save from the 2 shots, I'm still better than you in terms of stats. I've saved 50% of what I've faced. I don't know the percentage of the other. It might be around 67 something. So even the leadership of Williams in terms of his contribution from the back, it does contribute to what Sundowns it is when we're talking about the defense of Mamelodi Sundowns. So it's not just only saves that you can say. We need to check the character of the player regarding his tactics in the game. That also does contribute a lot. And I was wondering, in FIFA, when you're playing FIFA as a game in a PlayStation, there are ratings that the players are getting. Can this also be implemented in selecting our nominees? Each game, as you say, some players don't get a chance to be nominated because we hardly see their games. Some games we're not even sure if the panels that do make nominees, like your coaches and your previous players and stuff, do they even watch those games, or they just because the team lost, we just decide that team we can't be selecting anybody from them. But then in each game, if we had stats of each players coming out of the game, knowing that maybe Chipezeza scored 8.4 here and Williams scored 8.3, then overall after the 32 games we can combine everything and go like, oh, then guys, the stats says it's quite clear.
But I want to ask you on that. Just to ask you again, guys. I'm not saying what's right and wrong. I'm just asking some questions here. You spoke about the save percentages and you spoke about the leadership. I've got 2 questions. Number one, if it's a goalkeeping award, couldn't we argue that yes, you've got a better stats, you've got a better save percentage because you've faced the 10 and you've saved 5, but there's somebody who's done more goalkeeping in terms of, okay, fine, now I've faced 100 of these things, which means I'm at a high exposure, and if I can get a higher percentage mark, isn't that a thing that I should be taking and saying that, okay, that guy Shem, for everything that they've done, he did the most goalkeeping. If we look at saves, if we look at shots, if we look at percentages, if we look at all those things that are non-team stats, I believe Chipezeze is ahead of Ronwen, if not slightly behind. So are we not now spinning a story around it? Because my second question is then, is it just narrative? You know, Ronwen is a known keeper. He's a known name who plays for a big team, who plays for a well-known team. We've seen him at the AFCONs. We've seen him at the what's this thing, Ballon d'Or ceremonies. So now he occupies a certain place in our mind, similar to Uchipezeze. I genuinely believe, if not for the Carling knockout, we don't think about Chipezeze. If that makes sense. If they didn't do that massive feat of winning it and him winning those 4 men of the matches in a row, I don't think we care what's happening in the league. So what do you say about that man, sometimes these things, it's not about stats, it's not about all of that. Sometimes it's just about, hey man, Ronwen plays for Sundowns, they play great football, they win the league. We don't necessarily care about anything else.
Yeah, I think I understand you. Your first question, it's clearly looking at it from an honest eye. Chipezeze do stands out because he did the most of the goalkeeping. So now when we just solely focus on the issue of goalkeeping, he stood out. But collectively, as much as this is an individual award, it comes from a sport team. Like it's coming from, so the performance of the club itself also somehow should attribute a bit. What did he contribute? As much as he contributed where they could have lost a lot. For instance, how many games did Magezi lose compared to what? How many games did Sundowns lose?
Yeah. But at Sundowns, how many games did they lose last season?
That will play a higher stats compared to the goalkeeping stats, because overall it's a team sport.
But it's an
You've lost
individual
10
award.
games.
But it's an individual award.
I totally understand.
You
lost 10 games.
Velile
We
brought
lost
up
one
the
game.
Velile brought up the argument. Yeah, Chekili Twaba. Chekili Twaba was top goal scorer in the league with Amazulu getting relegated. For all intents and purposes, he did his job. He scored the goals. Now, must he get punished along with maybe, let's say his defense is the worst defense in the league. For every one goal he scores, they concede 2. Must now he be punished for that? And why aren't we putting, again, the storylines around it, right? The storylines of, okay, Makesi has a streak that only Sundowns is better than, coming from a team that was playing in the lower division the season before. You get what I mean? Like, we can put stories around it, but we tend to do it only for Sundowns. I mean, if somebody at Chiefs has a great season, best believe there'll be a story. And we'll all believe it and we'll do it. But when somebody else has a great season, we don't care too much to say, hey, but he came from, and they just got promoted, and they beat the mighty Sundowns in the final, and he's man of the match 4 times, and they've got a winning streak of what, and there was a coaching change, and he had to adapt to the changes in what ODG wants versus what Hendrik. We can spin stories as much as we want, but we only do it for the big 3.
No, definitely, that's true. Moving away a bit from the goalkeeping nominees, let's talk about the coaching one. I think Steve Barker, for me, building a story in terms of what he's been doing with Stellenbosch to this point, because when you're looking at Pirates and Sundowns, they did change coaches a couple of times. I think Steve Barker, for me, on that category, he deserves it, even with this thing of him, how he brings up young players. And if you see well-developed players, most of the teams, when the transfer season opens, Stellenbosch is one of the teams that tends to get hammered a lot, is because he's developing a lot of players that tend to come out there that stand out. And I just want to touch in that category a little bit, because I think we've been talking about goalkeepers a lot. What do you think about that category?
Okay, I'll give you my opinions of the 3 coaches. I think Steve Barker is consistent. You cannot knock his consistency. When he loses players, I mean, Reyners, Van Rooyen, Van Veek, players have been leaving out that door, and to be able to rebound, they were shaky at some point, but able to rebound and then get to a semi-final, I think it was a semi-final of the CAF Conference as well. I think you look at him and you say, okay, you understand his qualities. You look at Miguel Cardoso, for me, Miguel Cardoso, I think what people forget is what he came into. Coach Rulani has just left. Coach Mangoba had come in, and there was beef internally, and the players and people are benching, and they just lost the Carling knockout. To come in and steady the ship is not easy, especially if you don't have a preseason. So to be able to get to the numbers that Sundowns got to, the goals, the points, the what is incredible, because again, he's an outsider. It's a little bit easier. You'd imagine it'd be a little bit easier for Mangoba Mliti to come in and steer a ship that he's been part of for 12 years. It'd be easier for Rulani to come in and steer a ship that he's been part of for 7-10 years. But this was well and truly the first season where Sundowns didn't have Pitso's DNA. And I think Cardoso did well. Urivero, look, I think Padre did a very good job. But the problem with Pirates in the league is that they don't have consistency of performance across a league season. Yes, they're number 2. I don't want to take that away from them. But I think in your 3rd season, you're expecting a little bit more. And it can't always be that you're losing matches that maybe you shouldn't be losing. And Pirates had shown itself to be a cup team. So if we're speaking about MTN 8s and Nedbanks and things, I think Jose is very high. But when you speak about the league, I don't think Pirates has done enough. And I'd say when I look at them, for me, I'd probably say Cardoso number 1, Rivero number 2, and Steve Barker number 3 for me.
Oh, okay, copy. No, man, thanks for the opportunity, and Keep doing the good job, man. We see it.
Taco. Guys, please feel free to request. I want to have a conversation because when we have these awards, it's I think what I struggle with, it's the stories and where the stories are coming from, right? That's my question here. And I can't fight with somebody who watched all 16 of Ronwen's games. But then I ask you, how many of the 26 games that Chipezeze did you watch? What if Chipezeze had 12 games where he was the best leader, where he marshaled the defense, where he was everything you're saying Ronwen is? But because we don't see him, we don't put it into our minds that no, there's other people that do other things. I mean, last season we had the midfielder conversation, and Sanele Barnes on a stat had created the most chances in the league, right? But people didn't know or understand, but we also didn't have context of what that means, right? So this is why I'm asking these questions, that a lot of the time when you hear these stories and you say that Ronwen captains his team well and he marshals his defense well and he does all those things well, that's good. But does Chain not do that to a degree? Does Sage Stevens not do that to a degree? And if Ronwen is an 8 out of 10 in leadership, but then let's say stats-wise, performance-wise, he's a 5 out of 10, but then I am a 9 out of 10 goalkeeper, but I'm a 4 out of 10 leadership, don't those things even out? And do we take that into account? Or are these awards just about the storylines that we tell? You know, Ronwen plays for Mamelodi Sundowns, captain of Bafana. Remember what he did at AFCON. He's won the league. He's got the what. That's the one story. No, Uche, Nufegu semi-final. CAF Champions League. He plays for Pirates. Look at what him and CBC and LTP were doing at the back. The way that they were fighting throughout the season. Look at this. Is it just not stories? Because we don't really know, and we believe what we believe without actually looking at, okay guys, what does it actually mean? Have we watched the games? Have we consumed the guy? Have we understood what they do? But anyway, let me bring in Cebo. Cebo, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, my brother, how's it?
I'm good, my brother. I'm good. Where do you land on this awards conversation as a whole? And do you have some categories that you're looking at?
Yeah. Sometimes it is a difficult one, especially in terms of what you've mentioned. It can happen that we are nominating someone because of what we know they can do on a normal basis. We're not looking at like season to season. We're just saying, overall, I think this guy is better. But in this particular case, are we gonna really say last season Chipezeze was the best goalkeeper in the league? Is that not?
I don't know. You can make the case, or not make the case.
Yeah. So who are the nominees? I know you have the information. Who are the nominees? So let's start there. So
it's Chain, Chipezeze, and Williams for Betway.
And then there's maybe individual ones for the cups or something like that.
Yeah, there's the individual ones for the cups. Obviously, Chipezeze shows up for
they must give him for play playable. Yeah, they must give him for play playable. But I don't feel like out of the 30 games in the league, does Chipezeze have the individual performances in the big games? Does he have the clean sheets? That's what we're looking at goalkeeper is defense organization. Are we really saying that Chipezeze comes at tops? Maybe it's a question of looking at Uchayine and Williams, which are the two teams that really pushed each other to the end. I think if we are being honest, we can look at those two guys and look at them organizationally. Both of them have good defenses in front of them. TLB, with Pirates, you have Okekana in front of Williams at Sundowns. So both of them have good defenses in front of them. So if we compare them, they have the same toolbox, so I can put them. So yeah, but Chipezeze, okay, it's fine. First season, Yama Casey, give him best keeper for Black Label. Yeah, good.
Can I want to ask you though?
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who says it's easier to organize a bafana level defense. It's easier to organize Krankekana. It's easier to organize Nkosinatis BC. It's easier to organize Dion Hotto, Van Rooyen. It's easier to organize Mudau, Mudiba, those guys who have experience and all of that stuff. What do you say to people that say that in as much as we're saying that clean sheets are a thing, we also know that as a unit, Sundowns in general is not attacked. Sundowns in general, most teams sit in that low block and wait for the ball. The 2-3 times where Sundowns has been faced face to face, they've struggled, they've lost those games. What do you say to people that might say that?
People that say that, then they're living in dreamland. You know, yeah, but you deal with the cards that you have, you are given, my brother. That's just how life. If you can look at who was winning for the past 10 years, who's won the best goalkeeper in the world. It was not someone playing for Ipswich Town. You know, it was not someone playing for Bournemouth. No, it was the top keepers playing for the best teams, my friend. You know, it's either it's a guy from PSG, it's a guy from Barcelona, it's a guy from Man City. You know, there was no guy there who won Edlalila Marseille, you know, for an example. You know, it was the best guys. So, you know, so for someone who says that, okay, look at globally, look at internationally, who wins there? Is it someone playing for the team that's surviving relegation? So obviously, guys, it's a certain part. What I can say is this. If that guy is saying that, because Williams are playing for the best teams, one-on-one, any day, if you have 10 penalty kicks, who do you think saves more? Is it Chipezeze or...
But what are you basing it on? How many penalties have you seen from Chipezeze?
Chipezeze, guys, come on, he's not new.
Wait. The question is straightforward. How many penalties have you seen from Chipezeze, number one, but then how much does the 4 penalty saves from AFCON play into Williams? How many penalties has he saved in his career?
Okay, you
get what I mean?
Okay, yeah, I get what you mean. Now, when you are going at, now we are looking at individual things. Williams is going to kick Chipezeze out. Let's not go pound for pound, you know, even...
No, okay. Mara, I think what I'm trying to get to is, it could be true. You know, it could be true. But the thing is, from the information that we work from a lot of the time, we don't know. So for example, Mamelodi Sundowns went into a Club World Cup and everybody was like, the African team, the one at the bottom. The odds had Mamelodi Sundowns below Inter Miami, what. Then we saw Sundowns play Dortmund, let's say, and they lost 4-3 from their mistakes or whatever.
Can I just say something there? Just something, because obviously we are covering many things at the same time. You know what you just said about the Club World Cup and then African teams finishing at the bottom. You know, the people that you are saying that, as you know what we are doing now with Chipezeze and Williams, we are critically analyzing their performances, right? To try and find out who was the best. Those people that were saying those things, had they really, maybe some of them haven't even watched Sundowns.
But that's what I'm saying. They were thumb sucking. No, but in the same token, how many games of Williams have you watched versus Uchipezeze? Because and I'm not saying that Uchipezeze is the one. My point
you're just playing the devil's advocate. You're just playing the devil's advocate.
I'm honest about Williams because I've seen Williams a lot. But I'm questioning our honesty with the other players, because maybe, let's say, I'm just going to use a hypothetical. Let's say that 10 of the goals that Chipezeze conceded, right, came from comical errors from the defenders.
From the defense.
You get what I mean? But because I don't have that context, it seems like, you know, and that's why I'm asking these questions about the league. I mean, last season, we saw Utito up for player of the season. And when you ask people about Tito's performance, for example, they would tell you, I know Malume Kuto's here, he'd probably speak about the pass before the pass, right? Sometimes you don't see his effectiveness because he does the things, you get what I mean? There's a story. There's a story. There's a narrative we've built because we've consumed so much Tito. But Keletso Makhalwa, have we watched enough of him to know that
did well this season.
You know what I mean?
You know,
maybe there's a story. Maybe he could have had 27 assists and his strikers missed all of them. Maybe those 11 came from 5 games. You know what I mean? Do we critically analyze the same way that you're speaking about the people who are watching Mamelodi Sundowns? I'm sure they just look at the stats. Oh, they're African champions.
Yeah,
oh, they're this, they're that, they're that.
Anything incredible to say. They never even watched them play. But me, on my other hand, I've watched Chiefs. I played them because I'm a Sundowns fan, you know. But besides the fact that I'm a Sundowns fan, Williams has been the tops as our super sports. Because it's not like at Sundowns we built Williams, right? We bought him as a finished product. So I must be honest in Amut, okay. It's not like we built. Uchipes, I've known him a long time in the league. I know what he's capable of. I've watched him this season. As I'm saying, let's give him the best goalkeeper for the Black Label. But for the 30 games of the league, my brother, what can you say that he stood out? He stood out. What is the Chipes did? Let's leave Williams. Let's take China, the other guy, because we haven't spoken about China. Let's take Chipes and China. What can we say about Chipes to say he did it better than China? Sometimes it's the thing of playing for the teams that he plays for. It's it's how the cookie crumbles. Maybe his defense is bad, but me being honest, I know what type of keeper Chipes is. To be honest, so give him goalkeeper of the Black Label, but not goalkeeper of the season. That one I think is a little bit harder.
I will ask you about defender of the season. We've got 3 nominees: Grant Kekana, Thabiso Mloisana, and we've got Nkosinathi Sibisi. Where do you lean with that one?
Okay, this one is it's a more difficult one. Grant, he did well for Sundowns. If you look at the goals we conceded, I don't know, was it 13 goals? I'm not too sure. And I think he played majority of our games. Good leader at the back. I made some mistakes at the Club World Cup. He made some mistakes at the Champions League. He made the mistake. Who doesn't? But he's a proven performer. Even for the national team, he's a proven performer. I don't think anyone is better than him. I think we are going to the Club World, the AFCON in December. I'd like to think he'll be there playing for Bafana. So it's good. Usbisi, same thing with Williams and China. Again, we have a Pirates defense, and same thing. You have both quality keepers. Sometimes with these decisions, with either or, give it to Usbisi, give it to who's the other guy? Moloisane. Who do you say the third guy was?
Mloisane, Thabo Mloisane.
Udlala for what konje?
Stellis.
Okay, Stellis even if angimazi kahle hle lo mjito, but Stellis is another tough cookie. They also finished in the semi-finals of the CAF competition. And I wanted this one, I can't really put my hand up. I think I'll leave it to the professionals, this one. But what I'm saying is that with anyone who's picked out of the 3, I will not cry. If they pick CBC, it's a good decision. If they pick Kekana, if they pick Moloisane, this one, it's fair, my brother. These guys, all of them did good. They all did good, my brother.
Okay. For time, I'm going to bring in Sean. Sean, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
I'm good, my brother. Where do you sit on this? How do you feel about the awards in general? Is there one that you want to speak about specifically?
I think the awards in the PSL reflect the fact that basically they reflect the way that the PSL is run at the moment. It's a shambles from the timing of the announcement, the dates of the announcement of the winners. The whole thing is a shambles at the moment, and it reflects the fact that in the announcements, the players that are announced, looking at the teams, in fact, what I mean to say is look at the three teams, Paris, Chiefs, and Sundowns at the moment in time.
Yeah.
Social media is flooded with the fact that the fans of certain teams, they don't like certain players being named. For instance, for me as a Sundowns fan, I could cry right now and say, why isn't Reyners named in the football of the season?
Yeah.
Paris fans can say Makaula should win the midfielder of the season. But at the end of the day, these awards, from the very first time I think they were brought up, it's always the best player, the best in this position. And we can't be honest at this moment in time and say someone is the best without looking at the teams that one supports, I guess. And it's a problem from grassroots to all the way up to the people who lead this thing. I don't know. It just seems like unnecessary fighting at this moment in time. You know, it's some things are clear who should win. Sometimes, I don't know how you feel about it, man.
No, I just have questions. When we say clear, should it be as simple as you win the league, you have to be considered as the top guys, whether or not you come from Sundowns. If Amazulu was to win the league tomorrow or next season, we'd have to just go, it's that one. Or would we still have the issues of, but this one plays for Sundowns, and Sundowns plays the best football. You know, Pirates, look at what these guys are doing. They're so entertaining. I'm trying to find that balance. How much of it is just story that it's starting to feel as though the smaller players from the small players from the smaller teams have to do so much more. Yes, they have to be. We're expecting Makesi, in order for Chipezeze to be spoken about, we're expecting Makesi to come into the league and go win it. You know what I mean? Like, we're expecting for us to go, that guy can be considered. And it sometimes feels a little bit unfair, especially when you look at the other side of the coin. I mean, you can look at the other side of the coin and say, guys, Sundowns is a very well-oiled machine at this point. There's games last season they were winning where they were just walking the game. You know, there was 2-0 wins where Sundowns didn't even get out of gear 2, right? Do we take in consideration those things? Do we punish the other teams for that, or do we also give credit to Sundowns to say, for you guys to be that, you have to be really good? Where do you sit on this?
I think it's the nature of the sport. You know, look at I'll make an example of, look at Bruno Fernandes this season. Bruno Fernandes this season, maybe he was top 5, top 6 midfielders in the season before. But when awards came, whichever awards there was, no one mentions Bruno Fernandes. And that's a result of the fact that Manchester United finished 16th or 17th, 16th. Bruno Fernandes was undoubtedly one of the best midfielders. If you watched the game, he was up there. But because of the team that he plays in and the fact that they finished where they finished, it means other players are going to get much more preference. It's the nature of the sport and the fact that your league table and your position, unfortunately, it counts. And for a team to win the league title, before going anywhere else, you look at the players that played for a team that won the league title. For instance, right now, as we look at the Carling Cup.
Yeah.
Look at, people are talking about Chipezeze. We wouldn't be talking about Chipezeze if Makesi didn't win. He would be in the nominations maybe, but maybe people would be looking at a Mokwena. I think at some point he scored a wonderful goal somewhere. People would be looking at players like Reyners. He's there in the nominations, but no one is out there saying they're going to win. Chipezeze is most likely going to win the award. And that's because they won. Look at Nedbank Cup. It's filled with Pirates and Chiefs players because they're the ones that reached the finals. You know? But overall, in terms of football and the best players, again, you would look at a Mokwena who went up to the semi-finals up until they lost against Kaizer Chiefs. But the nominees always come from the teams that won the things. Whether it's the league or it's the cup, it's preference. You know, it's just how it's the nature of the game. That's what I believe.
I want to ask you about a random category. Young player of the season, Betway Prem. We've got Malibongwe Khoza, we've got Relebogile Mfokeng, we've got Motaung CAF. How do you feel about the nominees, and who do you think is going to win?
Personally, I think Khoza should win it because with Mfokeng, I think he was there last season. I don't see a sense why he should get it again. I think Mfokeng was the better player overall between both of them.
Okay.
But I think Khoza should take it simply because he's coming this season. It's not his second season being the best. You know, it's his first season, and the young player of the season, I think he should win it only one time.
Okay.
With Khoza, I don't think Khoza played enough games. I don't think Khoza was undeniably the best or out of those three. And I think with Khoza, he needs another season. He can come in maybe this season, but before that, I don't think Khoza deserves it. I think Khoza and Mfokeng had better seasons overall.
Okay, no. Sean, thank you so much. Guys, feel free to request. Let's have a conversation. This is very interesting for me. Now, guys, remember, I'm not saying what's right and what's wrong. I'm just asking questions to ascertain whether, you know, the moment I put on a Pirates jersey or a Sundowns jersey, it's only shiny thing, man. I come off, they tell me I'm more intelligent, they tell me I'm more this, they tell me I'm more that, and maybe even if I'm performing average, which I'm not saying the Sundowns players did, guys, please, but you still have that shine. Malume Kutso, welcome to the show.
OT!
How are you, my brother?
It's a super sport. Prime Media, Marking, Naspas. I'm a page. Retaining, we are in.
Outside of Sporty TV, eh?
Sorry?
Outside of Sporty TV, man. Nekile ko SABC Sports Litting. Man. But anyway.
Everywhere, omni what. I can't understand your number. OT, Ukraine, Mr. OT.
But I know we've had this discussion a lot. Where do you sit on this discussion of awards in general? Where do you sit with some of the awards?
If I was to react to these nominations, I would say they by far the most fair nominations in a while.
Yeah.
Yes, there are a couple of names that are riding on history. One of my favorite players, two of them actually, Grant, no Tebogo. I don't think they had standout seasons, but when you look around, it's also down to competition. How many other players rose above them? And I can't see many.
Yeah.
I can't see any, to be honest, apart from those nominated alongside them. I would have loved to be in the room where they discuss what a midfielder is, given that they nominated Devin Titus last season, who is even wider than a Rile Mufokeng. And if you even higher than a Rile Mufokeng, higher up the pitch. So if you're gonna nominate a Devin Titus for midfielder, why are you scared? Why are you scared of nominating Rile for a midfielder? You know.
Do we do a disservice of not having an attacking award and just making it the top goal scorer?
Yeah, we do actually, Oti. We do. It's unfair on those attacking players because not everyone who's attacking gets to score, you know, or wants to score, you know. You have a Tembazwane who's very well. He was injured this season, but given the opportunity, he's very creative around the box. I don't think we shouldn't judge him on goals because we can see the creativity, you know. So that category should be revisited. certain players, attacking players, maybe not forwards, but attacking players, should also get their own category, you know. But all in all, Mr. Uti, you know, the cheapest has a thing.
Yeah.
It's difficult for the points that you've mentioned, Mr. Uti. Do we even watch Chipezeze? I don't. Apart from when he's playing like in Sundowns, Pirates, or Chiefs. And I don't know if he's having a stellar game or he's having a bad game.
Yeah.
Or it's
Once
his
off.
average performance. Or I understand. It's very difficult. But based on what we have, we can only nominate him. Even though I'm disappointed by the number of goals he's conceded. You know, you're like, ish, this is where people make arguments for certain instances, and we want to take those specific arguments and make them general, you know. When we're talking about Ronwen versus Chaine, they've had a good season. Okay, the numbers on Ronwen are shady, but let's just pretend as if he had played X amount of games. When you compare their quality, you would then maybe go to clean sheets and stuff, because maybe this season would be neck and neck. But we can't start going to clean sheets for someone who's conceded so many goals, Mr. Oti. Does it mean, actually, it makes the graph even more skewed? Does it mean consider about 4 regularly? If on a certain number of games you're not conceding, on a higher number of games than everyone, who sure these other games, you are getting more 3, 4.
Yeah.
And are we saying that's the best in the PSL? Okay, that one. Sometimes we have to divorce ourselves from our teams and ask, are we saying this is what the PSL this season had to offer the world?
So Malube Kuto, I want to ask you, do we afford context to everyone? So when we speak about context and we speak about what happened around that, do we do a disservice sometimes in awards by picking and choosing who gets the story?
No, there's something you mentioned, and I think you're spot on. I was very vocal. He might not look the part in terms of numbers. If you look at his numbers, you won't see it, the common numbers. But when I start telling you what he does, you'll then see it with you. Actually, almost every goal the Pirates scored last season was from Mutito. It's not there in terms of assists or goals, but literally almost every goal the Pirates scored last season was from Mutito, you know? Because I watch him, I can contextualize and give you a proper reasoning with why I feel like this guy is the one. But our Sanele fans, they came through with the stats. Luckily for him, Abu Optachab were flexing their muscles. But how many other players go under the radar? And also the matrix, Lama stats used by Optachab, are they the only type of stats that can elevate a player? You know, I've always made the argument that Ronald is one of the best keepers in the sense of which more funuk shooter, Mr. OT. You have your head up. You find Ronwen in a good position, you don't shoot. You pass the ball to your teammate. That on its own is a save. I understand. So such stats, Uti, how many strikers...
But when the cross comes in, anyway.
I understand. That's more concrete. You can see with Isan, I struggling across Ingwenye, you know? But... Leama shots, how many instances can a striker say, I wanted to shoot, but I couldn't because Ronan was in a good position? Or maybe we see an acrobatic save by Mzanti's number 1, Okuni, and you ask a striker, why did you shoot from such an obscure angle? And he says, no, you know, consistently, Okuni is positioned badly, but he has the acrobatics and the reflexes to make those saves. Do we count the save for Okune and ignore it for Ronwen, which that on its own is a save? The fact that the team decided to pass back because Ronwen is positioned properly, you know? So if you don't get someone making those arguments for you, or someone literally assessing your game at that level to say, look at what happened here, look at what happened here, you are going to go under the radar. And when we speak of which it's unfair that your Sundowns, your Pirates, your Stellies get because they're high up there, don't they deserve it, Mr. OT?
I actually wanted to ask you that. I wanted to ask you that. Is it just not the spoilers of war, man? Is it just not the spoilers of war to say, look, guys, you guys are the top guys? But I wanted to ask you it commercially. Do you think that those things come into it? That, you know, hey, we need to have the headline, guys, there somewhere. If it's too fair, you know, does the league have to do it? It's a very messy question, I know.
Yeah, but they didn't do it, and I want to point to one team that could have assisted, and that answers the fact that not all big teams, and I'll say it again, not all big teams are getting nominations because they're big. If they were like that, they could have found that needle in that haystack Chiefs for a player who did well. You know, they could have said, "I centre back, kana kimbang this guy."
Chance creation.
Exactly. But I'm saying if they can nominate a Williams got 16 games, surely can I give man fano wal kalatio? And sorry if I sound racist. Can I give man the centre back Chiefs? The one who got injured.
Totally.
They could have pulled him out and said when he was on, Chiefs didn't concede as much. The season collapsed when this boy left. You know what I mean? But to show which there is a level of fairness for everyone who does well, then you understand.
Yeah.
But Williams, we need to nominate Williams, Mr. OT. We need to suck everything out of that activity. My English is just depleted, but we need to suck the life out of that Ballon d'Or nomination. We can't have someone. It's still fresh, Mr. OT. It's still fresh, and for our league, we need to say this keeper who was nominated for the Ballon d'Or, he's still here. Come and see him, guys. You understand?
Yeah.
And as a Pirates fan, I've learned to detach myself from individual awards, Mr. OT.
Yeah.
They are individual awards. We fought Sakang Kasa for Usaling. Today, it doesn't matter to him. He wants to go where he wants to go. So I will celebrate when Pirates wins the league or Pirates wins Cups. Individual trophies, congratulations to whoever was nominated. Congratulations to whoever who wins. It's really not about Pirates.
Before you go, I want to ask you a random category. Goal of the season. Lepo. One man from the side runs in, shoots, scores. You have Fawaz Pasadine. Long range shot, caught Keat off guard. Keat, it was a saver. It was a little bit it was tough for him. And then of course you have Lucas Ribeiro scoring versus Pirates in that game called of Tas. Which one are you going with?
I like Ribeiro. Why I nominate? Every time I come here, I am abused. But I would have said Pasadine.
Yeah.
Had you not said the Ribeiro goal. I think the Ribeiro goal was very beautiful, Mr. OT. Taking into account Uti, he scored it against the next best team in the league. So I korang against the team Yaneswak. So yeah, I'll give it to Ribeiro. For sentimental purposes, not only like context as you were putting it. If we're talking about long range, obviously Fowers would take it, but context wise, Lucas Ribeiro. Ngikhumbula i-TV yami yakudala Mr. Uthi yasekhaya ngisakhula meshala malayina nje. Yeah, no. Mboma. No, Mboma, I'm also going with Ribeiro. Ish. Aye, bongs. Aye. OT, what should I do now? Text me if there's live.
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm back. Malebe Kuzo, thank you so much. Guys, I'm gonna jump in just to go through the nominees. These are the full nominees from today. Let me just find them. Okay, so here are the nominees for Assistant Referee of the Season Award. Actually, I should have had Malume Kutso here, but it's fine. Mokwena, Romario Piri, Kamusi Razwimisani are the Assistant Referee nominees. The referee nominees, you have Rikolo Padi, you have Mascole Bambiso, you have Olani Kwinda. For the nominees for the DStv Diski Challenge Player of the Season, you have Khumule Mobukekana, Ntando Nkosi, Tylon Smith. I'm going to skip the Motsepe Foundation ones. Let's go to MTN8 Last Man Standing. You have Fawaz Pasadin, Dion Hoto, and Umfukeng. For the Carling Knockout Player of the Tournament, you have Elvis Chipezeze, Edmo Chirambadare, and Ikram Reyners, for those who are asking about Reyners. Then you have, let me see, Nedbank Cup Most Promising Player of the Tournament, Mbegazeli Bogazi, LTP, Relebechile Mfukeng, and Motaung CAF, all from Pirates. Then Nedbank Cup Player of the Tournament, you have Vinacio Miguel, you have Pule Modi, you have Gaston Sereno from Kaizer Chiefs. Then goal of the season, we already spoke about it now. It was the goal from Pasadin long range, caught Keat of God. You have Glodili Lepo and you have Lucas Ribeiro versus Pirates. Nominees for Betway Premiership Goalkeeper of the Season, you have Sipo Chain, Elvis Chipezeze, Ronan Williams. For the Betway Defender of the Season, you have Grant Kekana, Thabo Mloisane, and Kosinatis Bisi. For the midfielder of the season, you have Marcelo Allende, Makhehleni Makaula, Teboho Mokwena. And then for Betway Premiership Young Player of the Season, Malibongwe Khoza, Relebohile Mfukeng, Motaung CAF. Then Coach of the Season, it's Steve Barker, Miguel Cardoso, and Jose Rivero. Player of the Season, Lucas Ribeiro Costa, Keletso Makgalwa, Relebohile Mfukeng. And then nominees for the Player of the Season, Footballer of the Season, Lucas Ribeiro Costa in the league, Keletso Makgalwa, Relebohile Mfukeng. Oh, okay, players the same. Okay, I guess you can do that. Those are the awards, and then of course we don't have an attacker category in the Betway Premiership. It goes directly to the goal scorer, top goal scorer. So Lucas Ribeiro Costa essentially already has an award in his pocket there for being the top goal scorer there. So guys, yeah, so I wanna continue this conversation. So please feel free to jump in and let me know how you're feeling about this. You know, if I was to fix Player of the Season or this whole thing, if I was to fix it, I was gonna go to Opta Chabu and I was gonna say, Opta Chabu, or whoever the analysts, the analytics guys, give me every single stat that you track, every single one. Put it on one line and say, guys, this is everything a player could get points for. And then you go, okay, now we can be honest and say, fine, these are the players, these are all the stats, this is how they rank in each stat. Maybe you put together some way to put it all together. You know, hey, nobody maths, nobody accounting, what do you call it? Stats and those things. Put it all together and say for sure. Because I think for me, what's happening is that we rate and rank based on what we believe. So we rate and rank, and I'm sorry to use the goalkeeper example again, but we rate and rank and we say, you know, Ronwen plays the ball out a lot, right? What would happen in that thing is that Ronwen would show up in the stats to say, in terms of players that have played out, Ronwen has done it this many times. He's the only keeper here. So now, in comparison to other goalkeepers, he's here. But Lo Munye doesn't play it out corner, who does more saves, for example. Put it all on a thing and then say, guys, we're taking every single stat that you can get, tackles, whatnot, because the same thing happens with midfielders, right? Some people rate the assists a little bit higher than the tackles. Manje, Makhehleni Makaula has worked his butt off tackling everywhere, winning every ball, covering the defense as he did this season, as we saw when you were watching Pirates. But it doesn't matter because we don't have context for how good that is. But if you could put it on a graph and all of that and say that, yeah, Tebza might have played the ball up a few more times in terms of building up the ball, but Nangomuntu, he's got 700 tackles. like by far, it's not even close. Then we can have these conversations. But I think more than anything, maybe we do need to get the criteria. Maybe we do need to get the criteria where they tell us, this is what we're looking for, this is what's important to us, this is what's not. Because if it's subjective, it's subjective. It's storylines, right? We see it with the people that are nominated. It's not a bad thing, but it's like, it's storylines. No, he is the best keeper in the world. No, he is the best midfielder here. No, this one scored this many goals. This one did this, and we negate a lot of the other things that maybe Malume Kutso was speaking about, right? So yeah, I think awards. I'm happy to see Abo Makhalwa being put in. The fact that Keleto Makhalwa is being considered for Player of the Season is incredible, because I don't think a player from Skukune would have been considered. Now, maybe it's coming at the expense of Ikram Reinas, right? For example, one of the people, Abo Sales did very well this season, as much as people don't like him. So I'm glad to see those guys coming in. I'm glad to see Abo Makaula, Abo Dion Hoto getting praise. I just want to maybe bring up some honorable mentions, man. I think Athazwani did an incredible job with Amazul, taking them from 13th to 6th, I think it is. ODG coming in with a team that's at the bottom and being able to go on a win streak that's only bested by Sundowns, for example, right? You look at, there's people that have, I often speak about Abo CM. I often speak about Abo Putim Hafe, and I'm not saying that these people should be winning the awards and doing all that stuff, but I think there should be some spaces in the awards where we recognize some of the work that has been done elsewhere, because these are the things that feed into what we think about later on. Maybe if you can recognize Abo Zwane for doing what they're doing, the next time they're going for jobs, the next time they're doing all those things, it becomes a little bit easier because you've got context for it. And maybe it will make us want to go watch those games, want to go follow those players, those teams, all of that. So in the coaches, for example, I would love to see Abo Atazwane, 6-month contract, turned it around. All of these different things that are happening, those are the people I want to see. I'd love to see it with players as well. Seeing which other players are left behind when we speak about these things. The other thing I want to speak about here is I love the DDC awards and things. Guys, do you know what was crazy about seeing the DDC Player of the Season, the nominees? When you know them. Like, oh, you go, hey man, that's that kid from... I think the DDC's done an incredible job with making us aware of those players and those guys. And Libon, that's helping them out. I believe Tylen Smith might be going to QPR. Abo Tando Nkosi, going to TS Galaxy, things like that. So I think, in as much as I have beef with awards, they have their place, but I think we need to use our awards as well to shine the light on people that we don't normally see. It's all well and good for us to look at Chiefs and Pirates and Sundowns and wait for Chiefs to do well so that we can put a player there. But there's other people that we need to highlight and look at and give props to. And I'm actually glad that they did some of that here. Guys, I am flashing all over the place here. I don't know what is going on. Can you guys still hear me? Am I back, guys? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Apologies for that. Okay, guys. I think for the next, let's end the show with an open forum. Guys, please feel free to jump in and tell me what you're thinking about anything in football. I'd love to still go back to Banyana Banyana. I don't think we gave them enough time and shine and effort. But guys, feel free to jump in. Let's have a conversation about whatever it is you wanna. I saw some questions, so open forum, guys. As it stands right now, Chiefs is leading Zwol 1-0. There are 9 minutes left in the game, so it looks like Chiefs might be able to get their first win of this preseason. Bongs, what do you have for me?
No, I'm just going to ask a question here regarding our team Kaizer Chiefs. Since Junior Khanye Abule no, these players that we bought Kidi unknown. Do you think these players are going to deliver the coming season?
Yo. Hey, I don't wanna go down the road. Well, for me, my thing is this. I've never believed that they're bad players at Chiefs. I just feel like you need to set them up to go and win. So I don't want to say too much about the players because there's a lot of times where we were fetching unknown players. I didn't know David Obua before he landed at Chiefs. I didn't know Sejjiwa, Kapamba Musasa, but they managed to play. So I don't want to pass judgment on these players before we've seen them properly. I don't think preseason is a place to look all the way. Mara, what I will say is the problem at Chiefs is that you are scouting qualities that are on paper and not qualities that are here. The qualities you should be looking out for at Chiefs is how you're going to work under pressure. How do you work when a stadium is full? How do you work when your notifications are full? How do you work when a stadium is empty and people are angry at you? How do you work at Chiefs when you've lost and the whole country is angry at you? Will you still call for the ball? Will you still play the football? Will you still make the run? Will you still do all of that? And up to this point, a lot of what has been holding us back at Kaizer Chiefs is that, guys, the players, they're hiding, man. The moment they feel a little bit of pressure, they go into hiding. So I don't know what these players are going to give us. I don't think what Chiefs needs necessarily is players that are stars or this conversation we have about quality. I just feel like they need to be the right players for Kaizer Chiefs, and maybe our scouting is short. Right? You need the right personality for Chiefs.
But in the case here, Musasa, we did see Musasa go Sintelo Lipopo. He did deliver at Sintelo Lipopo. So why should Musasa be a scapegoat to what Kaizer Chiefs is happening right now and the type of players to Badireka? Allah, the screen has shown again. Hello, Yato, guys, it's you. Oti, is everything okay?